everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the basics of wrestling cheer. So I'm going to kind of go through some stuff like sitting and starting and ending and some basic moves. Hopefully most of you are here because you are trying out, and that is great, or maybe you have never cheered and you're looking for some tips. So first I am going to go through like sitting, starting and ending. If you're really just here for like the basic moves, first kind of intro stuff is just going to kind of pertain to Wessu cheer or like my team's cheer. So yours might be different. So if you're from another school, or if you just stumbled upon this video, or if you just want to know the moves, I'll leave a little timestamp right here of when that actually starts. First thing that I want to cover is how you should be sitting. And some schools sit like this, like cross-legged. For my team, we usually do this, which is, you can definitely switch them around, but generally your left leg is across in front of you, and then your right leg is bent behind you. We typically sit like this just so your legs are kind of out of the way and you have better access to the mat. If you go to a school maybe where you don't hit the mat, or your legs are maybe tired, I don't know, you might sit cross-legged. Typically this is how you want to sit, and this is how you will be instructed to sit at tryouts. The next thing I want to cover is smiling. I know this isn't really talked about as much as it should be. I don't know, as a coach I am very adamant on smiling. It's not so much as smiling as big as you can all the time, it's just making it look like you actually want to be there. If you look like this, you're not, especially at tryouts, you look just less appealing, and you really want to sell yourself. So you don't have to be the one with the biggest smile, but just look happy and energetic and like you actually want to be there. Of course, when you're doing the cheer, you're going to be talking and doing moves, so you may not be like while you're doing stuff, but just even if you have a little smile on your face, make eye contact with the people in the crowd, or for tryouts, the judges. That will definitely make you more appealing and make you stand out from other people. The next thing I want to cover is starting cheers. For my squad, when we start cheers, the captain or the cheer caller will say ready, and everyone will say okay. So it'll sound something like ready, okay. And everyone should be saying okay at the same time, not just a couple people, not just everyone but the captain or the cheer caller. Everyone should be saying okay, and that will signal that you're ready to start the cheer. And then the last kind of basic like help tip that I have is how we end our cheers. So for my personal squad, we end our cheers by hitting and then clapping and then going in this position. So it looks kind of something like, so this just kind of helps the squad be more uniform, and so some people aren't ending here and some people aren't ending here. I just think it makes it look very clean for the squad, and it is something we will touch on in practice, so it's not something you have to nail right away, but just a forewarning. Okay, so now we're going to get into some of the basic moves. I'm going to talk about 4 types of common moves that we do in cheer, and then I'm also going to do a cheer to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is clapping. So when you are clapping, you want to make sure you're clapping with your hands cupped and clapping with the palms of your hands touching each other. You don't want to be like, or like, when you do a cheer, you want to make sure you like clap like this and get that really deep sound during your claps. It's going to be very loud in the gym or wherever you're at. Even at tryouts, it's probably going to be pretty loud. Everybody else is cheering around you, so you want to make sure your claps really stand out and are deep, and just clap the proper way. Once you start getting accustomed to that, at the beginning it might feel kind of weird, but once you start getting accustomed to this, it will just be natural and you'll feel better. Another tip while clapping, make sure the farthest you go out is at your shoulder blades. So I feel like sometimes when I see even my girls or even some other teams, some people are just out here like, and that looks sloppy, and you can become off beat because there's too much room in between your arms. You're allowing too much time, so you can't get back quick enough to get the actual beat. Typically, I would only go this far apart when I'm doing a cheer myself, but I would say no farther than your shoulder blade should you be moving your arms to do a clap. You right here is plenty far. Also, I know some people are very strict about the elbows touching when you clap. I'm not big on that. I think it kind of looks weird. If you're just straight up and down like this, I think that looks totally fine, and that's what I would recommend to my girls. So I'm just going to do a little cheer that we do that's strictly clapping, and just to demonstrate how it actually works. Also, when we start our cheers, we have we put our hands into fists and we put them on our hips like so. So typically if you'd be in this position from whenever your last cheer ended, and you would just move them up to here once the cheer comes to you and you know what you're doing, and then the cheer caller will say ready, and then you'll say okay, and then you'll go into your cheer from that position. So I'm going to demonstrate the clapping cheer now. Ready? Okay. And that specific cheer we don't do an ending for. It's kind of like a beginning cheer just to get the wrestler out onto the mat. But that's just an example of a cheer we do where you would clap and where you'd want to be clapping like this. I will say that sometimes, or certain cheers will require you to clap like this just for the nature of the cheer. Like we might do something like that. So you won't be wanting to go like it just flows better when you have your hands flat, but those are kind of one-offs. As a majority rule, you want to make sure you're clapping like this. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is arms, and this is huge, especially for people that are taller, I feel, or have longer arms. It's just a harder thing for them because their arms are longer, and they might not be as confident at like putting their arm all the way out there because their arms may be longer than everyone else's. That's just the kind of vibe I get, I guess. Whenever you're doing anything with arms, you're going to want to make sure your arms are absolutely as straight as can be. When you do a cheer, you just want to go like, when you do anything with your arms, you want to go right into your arm. Like you don't want to be like, you know what I mean? You don't want to have this little sagging, I don't know how well you can see my arms, this little like sagging thing. This is not a move that we do, at least I'll tell you that much. If you're going to go up, if you're new, any high V's, make sure they're high, make sure they're tight. Any low V's, make sure they're tight. Any of like this action, you'll want to make sure your arms are just like straight out, this, even, this. I don't know how much more I can get it across. Make sure your arms aren't noodles. Yeah, if everybody else in the group's going straight, and you're just kind of hanging out, it just looks bad, and it kind of gives the almost appearance as if you don't care. So back to that, just really get those arms straight, and it might be something you have to practice, you know, just something you have to work on. So I'm going to do a little cheer just to demonstrate straight arms. Ready? Okay. Let's get tough, Falcons, let's get tough. Let's get tough, Falcons, let's get tough. So in the cheer, you can see I really had my arm straight the whole entire time. I was never lagging my arm like this, or even when I did both, like this. I was up, forward, ready, my arms were straight. So that is even a cheer you can maybe practice if you're trying to practice having your arm straighter. That would be one you could go through. The next thing I want to talk about is hitting. And if you know anything about wrestling cheer, this is one of the most important things that we do, is hit the mat. So a couple tips. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. You just want to hit the mat. So I'm just going to briefly cover this because I don't think it's too hard, and any minor issues can be definitely fixed very easy. It's not like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody who had a very serious problem with how they hit the mat. Just a couple of tips though. When you are hitting, make sure you're not hitting like this with your fingers wide open. It just doesn't give the same sound effect, and it just doesn't visually look that good either. Make sure you kind of have your hands together, and sometimes even if you kind of cup your hands a little bit, it might feel weird at first, but you'll get a better sound if you do that. Just not like crazy, but just like slightly cup your hands. And also kind of move your thumbs out from under you. You don't want to hit your hand like this with your thumb underneath you. Your thumb will get very sore in a hurry. So if you kind of cup your hands and hit like that with your thumbs slightly back. I don't know if you can see that. At tryouts, I will definitely be going around watching how people are hitting and correcting mistakes. So if you feel like there's something, you feel like you're hitting wrong or you don't really know what you're doing, don't worry, because I'll go around and help you. But this is probably the most common thing I see is people, I like to call this like bear hands. They're hitting with like bare hands, and we're not bears, we're cheerleaders. So just keep your hands together. It'll make it sound the best and look the best. And also to go along with hitting, there's a couple hits that we typically do, which can kind of get skewed along squats. And I'm not throwing any shade. This happens definitely in my own squat as well. And something we need to work on in the future is how you're hitting. So there is cross hitting, which is like this, where you would hit across your body. And then there's just straight hitting, which would be like this, where you're just going straight out. And then there's out hitting, which would be like going out versus like straight, if you can tell the difference. So sometimes certain people on the team will be like this, and then other people will be like this. So it's definitely something we want to work on in the future, and definitely something you want to know at tryouts and as you go through your cheer career. What cheer calls for what type of hitting? So I am going to do a little cheer that will demonstrate some clapping and some hitting, and I will be cross-hitting in this cheer. Ready? Okay. G-O, go. F-I-T-E, fight. W-I-N, go, fight, win. Okay, the last move I'm going to talk about is called a slide. This move is found in a lot of cheers and is a very crucial part to wrestling cheer. But how this works is you hit and then you like slide down and then hit again. Or sometimes you hit, slide, and then clap and go down. There's kind of some variations of it, which we do both of the variations, so it kind of just depends. How you achieve this said slide is you start off by hitting straight out in front of you with both your hands at the same time. Then you come up and your left hand is facing up and your right hand is facing down. And you kind of hit your right hand against your left hand. You kind of almost hit your fingers to turn your left hand around. So you're like this. So, and after you hit your fingers and turn it around, your right hand comes down and then your left hand comes down. So it's kind of like so it sounds like, if that makes any sense. So it's like hit it with your hands to turn your left hand around, right, left. And then after you do the right, left, like you're gonna hit straight out, your left palm's gonna be up, right palm down, hit it with your fingers to turn your left hand around, your right hand hits, then your left hand. And then typically you'll do right again, left again. So it'll be like, and then say you'll clap or something along the lines of that. So one more time, just slowly hit together, right, left, right, left. That was horrible explanation on my part. Hit. And then sometimes people can struggle with this if they've never done cheer before, but once you get it, I promise you'll get it. And a lot of people who maybe even are cheerleaders still don't know this move, and they could be doing it incorrectly. That is definitely something I've experienced on my squad before as well. So one thing just to practice this, say you want to, make yourself better before tryouts, because there will be cheers we will be doing at tryouts with this move in it. Moves I would do to practice this would just be to start out like with your left palm facing up and your right palm facing down, and just hitting your fingers and doing the right left motion like. Then say you got that down, I would start with the beginnings, like hit, right, left, hit, left. Then say when you got that motion, I would add the last right, left in there. So you can even throw the clap in at the end. And if you just keep building up to it, you'll definitely get it. And it kind of sounds like, the way we kind of like teach it, is it kind of sounds like a horse, like. So if you kind of talk to like old cheerleaders in the past or even me, that's how we kind of teach it. And I'll do a cheer right now that has that in it. So you can kind of see a combination of the slide, hitting, arms, and clapping all together. Ready? Okay. T-A-K-E, take him down. T-A-K-E, take him down. T-A-K-E, take him down. And that is everything I have for the basic moves of wrestling cheer. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to ask me any questions you might have beforehand. Anyone who has maybe been a cheerleader in the past. We will have 2 hours of time at practice to go over cheers if you're there for the whole practice. So don't feel discouraged or maybe like you won't have enough time to learn cheers. We will have people there to work one-on-one with you to actually learn the cheers. If you have any other questions or concerns, or maybe you're just excited, feel free to tweet us at Westview Falcon Cheer. Otherwise, I'll see you at Tryouts.